Good morning, everyone. At Audio Check, I'll be with you shortly. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. It is August 22nd, 2023. As always, yes, I had to look at that because the month is flying by, the week is flying by. I can't tell you what everything is flying by. It's so amazing that I'm here this week after last week of being off all week. I was at the Blockchain Futurist show in Toronto, Ontario. Oh, do I have an echo in my ear? Oh, who is in my ear? What is going on in my ear here? Which one is in my ear? Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, As I was saying, it's August 22nd, 2023. My name is Tom, otherwise known as Striking, here in the digital media world. I'm so glad to be here on DYOR Live on the DYOR Media Network. We always have good stuff for you, bringing in new stuff and better stuff for you each week, doing a better job at it, and bringing you good content. We went to our first show. Here in Toronto. Not here, I'm in Ottawa right now, but in Toronto, Ontario. And had a good time. We set up a little booth, interviewed a lot of people, listened to some content. I've been going to trade shows my whole life. I mean, for a long time, been going to trade shows for the other industry that I was in pre-COVID. And they're all the same. They're all the same. They have speakers, they have booths, they have interesting stuff, they have product launches, product announcements, they have the big people there that are the important people in each little niche, they have the new people in each little niche, they have new products, they have all kinds of stuff coming out. Let's see if we can tweet this out here, share. And see if we can, and you really get a lot of information here. Sorry about that. I need to tweet this out because I didn't do that. Anyway, I'm waiting for Pedro. Also, Pedro, the crypto chart analyst, coming on. He's running a little bit behind today. He is currently traveling right now for the summer, but he'll have his charts and his Bitcoin prediction. No, not predictions. He'll be reading the charts and telling you what the charts are saying about Bitcoin. All right, let's get this tweeted out here about the show. Anymore? Is that even allowed? No, we have to say we're posting it on X. We are live. Everyone, join us. See if we can get, if you're watching this on YouTube or LinkedIn, please share this. We've got the YouTube feed. We're broadcasting today on YouTube and LinkedIn. Our primary focus is on LinkedIn because that's where the business community congregates. And this is while we talk about digital assets, this is not, like I said, this is not a Yo Bro channel or anything like that. We're trying to advocate for people that are new in the world of crypto to learn about new projects. That's what we call DYOR. We want to teach you guys to do your own research, to give you new products, to give you new avenues, so you can do your own research and not just believe all of this junk that is on the internet regarding crypto. So we like to focus on LinkedIn. We're also on YouTube because that's where people go to look for things. But we're also trying something new. We're Twitter, or X, has brought back their streaming function, so we're giving that a shot to see if that's going to work. Not sure it is. I'm sure the crowd will let me know. But anyway, so we've got that tweeted out. Join us, everybody. Let me try and retweet that here. Let's see. Let's get a couple of people to retweet what is going on with the old striking balls. This one, I know you can't see my screen, but now live now. Join Striking and Lisa. All right, so we got the word out there about what's going on. One of the things that we had a good time doing was at this show, really was interacting with everybody. It was my first show that I took the whole media booth there, and we set up in the back of the main hall. And basically watched the speakers and thought, oh, who's going to be a good speaker today? And who's got new products? Who will make good content for teaching the DYOR crowd what is going on in life, all about new things. And if you've heard me before on my show talk about front running this whole industry of companies developing just to front run you, just to play the MEV, the mempool, that type of stuff, and to basically cheat you out of your money. It irks me. It's not something that I like. It's not something I like. It's not fair. When you press that buy button, what you're looking at for the price and what it quotes you should be pretty much what you get. And if you were to do something like take a, you can take a flash loan out, not a flash loan to hack somebody, but take in one transaction, take a loan out, buy something, and then cross-chain it somewhere else and call another contract, bring the money back, pay the loan back, or take out a loan to put something on margin. That's all on the blockchain. And there's people and companies out there that can read that and then try and figure out where your liquidation. Try and front run ahead of you, try to beat you to the price, or basically the basic way to say it is to steal your liquidity. The money you put in there is for them to take out. But if that was private, then that wouldn't happen. Today's guest talks a little bit about that on that Least Allowed from the Secret Foundation. And I'm happy to have worked with their marketing team on following this, my interview with them. Pit Monk, welcome. Welcome to the show, Pit Monk. Thank you very much, Pit Monk, for watching. Like he said, everyone on the various platforms that we're watching, if you've got a comment, drop it in there. My comment system gathers them all from everywhere and allows me to put them on screen. But for some reason, no matter how hard we try, LinkedIn does never seems to work properly. They update the software, LinkedIn makes a change. So let's see what else is going on here. Let's just put this up on screen real quick. I like to have an interaction, so if you're out there, drop a comment. A lot of times I drop this show into Telegram also, so I can hear the voice chat and have questions, but not doing that today. Don't do that all the time. Pit Monk says, nice to catch you live for once. Yes, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Pit Monk, I don't know what time you started in here, but we're talking about privacy today on the blockchain. We're talking about my visit to the Blockchain Futurist Convention, our conference in Toronto. Let's see here. What else do we got going on? Welcome, everybody. Welcome, everybody. Subscribe and comment. Can't stress enough. Well, Pedro was supposed to be here. We were supposed to go over the news. I had a couple of news stories that I set aside before we get into Lisa's interview. One is this friend.tech. This one caught me by surprise. Various groups have been trying to crack the social media / crypto / decentralized world and trying to come up with apps because they're tired of X, they're tired of Facebook, tired of Instagram, etc. Centralizing all their information, using it basically however they want to data mine you. And groups like Noster, Blue Light, a couple other ones have been trying to decentralize, and it's generally worked, but none of them have hit that adoption thing that's really driven them crazy. All of a sudden, friend.tech just comes out of nowhere last week, and boom, they've got millions of users, and it combines social media, crypto, and some other things, and they generate fees from the blockchain and things like that, and they've made $1 million in fees. Basically, I think it's now $1 million in fees per day or something like that. Let's see if we can find them. Let's see. The stories as you can see behind me. Friend.tech is crypto's latest obsession, but critics say it won't end well. If they're making tons of money, does it matter if it ends well or not? I mean, that's generally how these things work. There's an iteration of it. It booms. Somebody comes along and betters it. That's how the great crypto and interwebs works. You put an idea out there, new one comes along. Anyway, something to keep an eye on. Well, I'm sure we'll be talking about that here on a future episode. Friend Tech. I don't know how many people have that watch this show pay attention to it. I hope a lot. As I said, I hope a lot. My screen is awfully cluttered today. Sorry. Well, I back in the Ottawa studio. Usually when I set up my new studio, things don't go right. Things don't go right. When I move around between Chicago and Ottawa and stuff. Anyway. What else we got going on here? The DGen. That's a DGen play. Of course, everything's a DGen play. Of course, right? Oh yeah, that's right. I also met Zach Hines from Zach Hines' channel at the show, and he's a big SHIB and Shibarium, and SHIB announced their Shibarium blockchain at the show, and at first it didn't work. It didn't work, and everyone thought the money was lost. Even SHIB was like, we're never going to be able to recover this money. We don't know what happened to it. There apparently was no issues at all, other than too many people using it at once, and the network of validators had to catch up. And so everyone's money was fine. But during that period, everyone sold, the price tanked. It's just everyone, they waited 2 years, and they have one little blip. And so they're like, that's it. I can't wait another 5 seconds. And they sold. And tanked the price of SHIB, but it's coming back. Anyway, like I said, SHIB is not something I follow a lot, but I had Zach on to talk about it. We'll have his interview later in the week. Also, another interview that I had, it was a good one, was with Adam Kai of Virgo. Adam Kai, I believe, is from Hong Kong. I'm not sure. Sorry, Adam, if I got that wrong. But anyway, they're trying to bridge the Asian markets and the Western markets with one good product, which is good. And he's going to talk about real-world assets and things like that. As everybody knows, real-world assets have been a topic of mine. I've been talking about it a lot because it's a huge topic. There's trillions of dollars in assets that can be, its ownership can be moved to the blockchain and traded like an exchange. Think about it. There's an exchange for corn. There's an exchange for stocks. There's an exchange for oil. There's an exchange for gold. There's all types of exchanges for physical assets. But is there one for real estate? No, there's not. And the reason is because real estate is insanely hard to get through the legal process. We all know. And doing that, real estate's very expensive too. And so when little things go wrong, big errors happen. But anyway, so that problem is solving itself as new companies. I interviewed the CEO, Binay Gupta of Materium, recently about how his company creates a passport that brings all the legal representations and warranties from the real world onto the blockchain, so that you can buy real estate in 1, 2, 3 clicks and own it just like any other digital asset. It's really amazing. I know I've over, but they do all the legal work ahead of time, bring everything into a digital passport, and then the buyers and sellers get to trade that, get to trade the ownership NFT or however that works, and that passport goes with it and has all the representations, warranties, liabilities of any piece of real estate ever. Very interesting, and Adam Kai's going to talk about that on how his exchange is getting ready for it on Thursday. But anyway, to have a longer discussion about the topic of the day, which is privacy, and specifically the Secret Foundation. I want to have kind of a brief talk about it before I go into talk about our sponsor here. As I started to talk about earlier, hold on, we'll check that you'll be joining us. Sorry, I'm also going to be on this Secret Foundation's Twitter Spaces today at 12, and they were just confirming that. But anyway, you heard me talking earlier about, as they say, the people front running you and knowing exactly what you're doing on the blockchain. When we all started with this blockchain, as everyone knows now, everything was secret. It's like all these numbers and addresses and gobbledygook on it, and people are like, it's secret. It's too confusing. Nobody can follow it. Money laundering flourished. All this type of stuff. Yada yada yada. But it quickly became apparent to even noobs like me back in the day that you can read the explorers. You can read the Bitcoin Explorer. You can read BSC Scan. You can read Polyscan, Etherscan, all of those things. All you have to do is learn how to do it. And of course, as anything else, a ton of YouTube videos came out telling you how to do that. So it was all of a sudden became very easy to read, and you could follow the every. It's like, wow, this is an amazing amount of information. You didn't know who it was, and even in projects that I was involved in, you're like, wow, we had some big whales come in and all this type of stuff, and then little hints give it away. And someone says the wrong thing, like I traded, I bought 1.3 million tokens at, blah, blah, blah. Then you can quickly go through the blockchain and see a transaction for 1.3 million blockchains. And then you find it. And then that person's name is now forever associated with that wallet. And all the transaction they've done and everyone they've transferred to and all their friends, quickly people figured out, we can make apps for this. And all sorts. Bubble maps happened. Chain analysis happened. There's 1,000 companies now, probably more than that, doing chain analysis or blockchain analysis. And there's even companies now that will pay to dox you, to find out who your wallet is and stuff like that. There's all sorts of privacy issues. Basically now, as we're moving finance to the blockchain, everyone can ultimately figure out what is what. And who is who, and all this type of stuff. And they can figure out how much money, how much trading you've been doing, whether you're on margin, whether or not. And the government can do that too. And it's not so much that the U.S. government is a problem with that, because ultimately in the U.S. you have to pay your taxes. And if you don't, there's all sorts of law that will come down on you for that. But in other countries of the world, it's not so much that it's a tax thing. It's other countries, the ruling elite wants to know who the people are that have wealth. And because they steal it from them. And a lot unbelievable. The work from home life. As I was saying, in other countries, you're not allowed to be wealthy unless you pay off the machine. In many Central American countries, most African countries, the ruling elite is a class of people that support each other that you're not allowed in unless you pay. Unless you pay. And if you pay, then you're allowed to be in that class. That's basically how you do it. They take care of themselves. And if you just come in and say, I have money, you can do that in the U.S., you can do that in Canada, the U.K., Western countries of the world, many non-Western countries now too. You can go from rags to riches. In most of the world, you can't. And so countries are looking at the blockchain saying, who in our country is making money, and how can we extract that money from them? Not in taxes, I'm talking in just bribery. That happens a lot in China. China, many of the government positions are funded by, as they say, local taxes that aren't essentially taxes. That happens in a lot of Asian countries, like I said, a lot of South American countries. You're just not allowed to be part of the elite unless you pay. And so that's why people want to be private. And having companies do chain analysis. I mean, imagine having in Venezuela, having a undoxed account. Nobody knows who you are, and you're all of a sudden you hit who you are. But prior to that, they didn't know who you are until you hit that exchange. Now they've linked all of your transactions and all of your money. and they want a piece of it. Well, that's why we need privacy, ladies and gentlemen. But before we get into the different products, which I'll summarize after I play the interview with Lisa, I do want to talk about my sponsor, Auditchain here. Auditchain, if you haven't heard me talk about it before, the basic way to describe it is that they're a new way, new software, a new artificial intelligence, a new logic and reasoning engine that looks through companies' SEC filings or other machine-readable financial documents and determines if they've made errors, determines if they're in compliance, if they're missing disclosures. And they also make software that helps companies ensure they don't make those mistakes. And so why don't we take a few minutes to listen to me talk about it. Auditchain. Already done that. Auditchain's protocols and network of validators can mathematically prove that a company's entire financial state, not just proof of reserves, but a proof of state, and whether or not that company is providing accurate reporting and information to the respective government regulators and to the public. Seriously, you and I can check crypto companies and traditional companies' financial reports for transparency and accuracy using a logic where? On the blockchain. Seriously, ladies and gentlemen, blockchain technology is now able to be used to check on traditional companies. Behind me is a list of companies that comprise the S&P 500, S&P 100. In essence, the largest U.S. companies by size. More than one quarter, 29 out of 100, have problems with their reports. Remember, accounting and other corporate systems are garbage in and garbage out. So if there are problems with the data out for these companies, in red here, what does that mean? That's right, ladies and gentlemen. There are problems with the data going in. And this was figured out not by accounting or auditing firms and fleets of consultants. This was compiled and reported on by Auditchain's Pacioli validating nodes and took only 5 minutes. It's revolutionary and it's a disruptor technology. Auditchain. Welcome back, everyone. Today's guest is Lisa Loud with the Secret Foundation, an organization bringing privacy to the blockchain. Lisa, welcome to my show.
Thanks for having me.
Well, I wanted to bring you on this show today to talk about how privacy exists now, and with products like yours, how the blockchain could evolve in the future with more privacy being brought back to the individual's control.
Yeah, well, I think we're at a turning point right now in blockchain, where we're seeing that it's almost ready for prime time. It's almost ready for institutions to come on board. And when that happens, what are institutions going to need? They're going to need compliance. Like, we don't have that yet.
Right.
They're going to need ease of use. They're going to need ubiquitousness. But then finally, the biggest thing that they're going to need that maybe they don't even realize they need right now is privacy. Because privacy is kind of a fundamental table stake for most institutions.
Right.
They need to know that if they have corporate secrets,
industries growing right now in crypto is chain analysis, and private companies, public governments are really enjoying that data and stuff. How does this kind of inhibit that?
Yeah, it's a really interesting discussion right now, or controversy I would even call it, because we're seeing companies like Chainalysis, other companies, Arkham, that are actually making it easier and incentivizing information to come out about other people. And as that happens, I think we're, up until now, we've really been sleepwalking, thinking that we're doing things on the blockchain, no one's looking, it's
right,
fine.
It's secret.
It's
not.
Secret. It's not, though. It's just pseudonymous, which basically means you can do it for a long time until someone realizes it's you, and then they know everything.
Right.
So it's kind of retroactive.
Right, and there's companies even paying bounties now to dox people and find out what wallets are connected to what person?
Yeah, that's true. Arkham is offering bounties to do just that. So what I would say is that as we start to sleepwalk towards this, we are going to wake up. We're going to have a rude awakening at some point and realize that we've just lost all of this confidentiality that we held so dear, that we thought was a basic human right. So what we do at Secret is we provide the ability to have data that you section off that as confidential. So some data can be open and public on the blockchain, and then some data needs to be kept confidential and private.
Well, how does this technology become available? Does it sit at the user level, or is it a developer type situation?
Yeah, it has to be integrated into the apps themselves. So as a user, if you use somebody else's app, it's got a built-in level of privacy. So it's not like you can suddenly say, I'm going to keep all my data private. No, you really depend on the apps that you use. So as a user, what you can do to protect yourself is read those terms and conditions.
Right.
No one wants to do that, but
right, exactly. And now I'm guessing that since you're a level 1 blockchain, that developers can choose how private they make their apps, and so in order to comply with government regulations, some developers could leave a little bit more public information for that government to, in certain jurisdictions, to get their hands on. But as I say, it's been a long time since Phil Zimmerman introduced PGP and tried to export it, and received a lot of pushback from the U.S. government. Has your organization been receiving pushback from any jurisdiction at all?
Oh yeah, definitely. It's been a very controversial topic recently. So what I would say is that, yes, any developer can integrate privacy, and it's very programmable, so it's very customizable. It's not so much that they would leave some data. Yeah, you can leave some data open for anybody to view, but there's different levels, right?
Right.
You can also have a private key that is given to the user themselves. That user can share that private key with a governmental agency if subpoenaed, if they're required legally to do that. And then that governmental agency can access all of it, can decrypt all of that data.
I see it.
But it's not like automatically done. It's not automatically out there. So in terms of pushback, we have several lobbying groups that have had some success in raising this issue of the need for privacy in blockchain. And what we're doing, what we're building, the utility of it for the blockchain industry as
in the lobbying effort, we're in essence, we're teaching government officials about this, because they have a lot of topics they have to pay attention to, and encryption of digital assets is very low on their chain of healthcare and other types of politics they have to deal with. While you're in your process of doing that, have you seen other people lobbying them to keep it open and not let things be private?
Yes, absolutely, we have. And what I've realized is that I heard Vitalik in Prague, and he said, it's not enough to build privacy, you have to build a community of privacy-minded people. And that, I think, is what we're trying to do right now, is to build the community that realizes the importance and essential nature of privacy, and to make that narrative, like you said, there's a lot to pay attention to.
Yeah.
We need to raise the level of that narrative, because it's so important to all of us if we thought about it.
Right. Now, with your privacy-oriented smart contracts, and a developer comes along, do they have to learn everything about it from scratch, or do you provide tools and other apps for developers to get started without having to learn the basics of cryptography?
Yeah, absolutely. You don't need to know cryptography to use Secret. We have something called Secret University, which guides you through actually, there's something that we launched yesterday called...
Breaking news, ladies and gentlemen.
Secret VRF. It's a random number generator, so just think about random numbers, how important they are in everyday life, or like for the lottery.
And how sometimes they're not so random.
Yeah, they're not so random usually on chain. So they can be reverse engineered. So we've just released provably random numbers.
Oh, that's interesting.
That cannot be reverse engineered. And as part of that, we have a landing page where we'll send you a guide if you sign up with your email onboard.
So in light of this being the Futurist Conference, what do you see the future like with more privacy-oriented controls on the blockchain?
I see blockchain being finally usable by everyone, from
Right.
from individuals to corporations to smaller brands. With privacy, I think we can see a much better adoption. I think privacy will just be something that we take for granted, like being able to access the internet. We
Right.
don't have to dial up. It's just there.
Right.
It's always
It works.
there. Right.
Right.
So I think that's where we're going with blockchain in general, and privacy is a big part of making that happen.
Well, great. Ladies and gentlemen, Lisa Loud with the Secret Foundation. Lisa, thank you for being on the show, and hopefully you do very well with your project, and we'll see you again on a future episode.
Thank you so much. Great to be here.
It's so fascinating. It's just fascinating that they have to go through all of these trials and tribulations to bring privacy back into it, when that's essentially what we wanted from the first place. You know, we wanted privacy in it. You know, when blockchain started, like I was saying earlier, you know, people's wallets weren't linked to people, and so it essentially was private. You could follow the money and see where things went and have fun stuff with that. Try and track down a scammer. But once the wallets are connected to people, and once, you know, people and governments are pushing for wallet addresses to be linked to an actual identity that's fully KYC'd, so that companies and governments know how you spend every dollar. And the purpose of our governments, especially in the Western world, is not to track individual finance payments, who is paying who, and who is doing what. That's not their job. And we never gave them, in the US, we never gave the government that right. And if those of you that are internationally, the US created a constitution in which the people in the states got together and say, this is our federal government. You can only do the things that we've told you you're allowed to do. But as we all know, with government organizations, they have this thing called mission creep. And mission creep grows and grows and grows. And everyone says, well, we can do a better job if we have just a little bit more information, just a little bit more information. Oh, we can reduce carbon emissions if I just click this button and don't let people buy gasoline. Or only so much and ration it. That's what's going to happen if we let the government control everything with CDBCs. And knowing everything that's going on the blockchain. I can't stress how important this is. Just can't stress how important privacy in the blockchain is. But in the Secret Foundation is not the only group doing it, but they're the one getting the press right now and having a good layer 1 blockchain. In a layer 1 blockchain that is also, let me get the, see, I had this queued up and ready to go. Learn ecosystem about, where's the blog? And also bringing it to Ethereum. That's right. They're bringing data privacy basically to all the EVM chains. They can bring it to Ethereum. They can bring it to BSC. They can yada, 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 yada. They can bring it to everyone else. And so they're going to be doing that. And they have a big, there's two groups. There's Secret Labs. They develop the technology. And the Secret Foundation runs the block, like any of the blockchain foundations, advocates for companies to build on their system and to promote it and to make sure everything's running smoothly so a community can develop and build apps on it. And they have a lot of apps coming out on it. And that's not for this show to talk about. I'll let somebody from Secret talk about that on a future day, a future show. But if they can bring it to Ethereum, and any of the EVM chains, that's a good thing. One of the things that Lisa spoke about in this was their, I'm looking for it right now, their random number generator. I don't know how many, like I say, I like to not get too into the weeds on this show. I like to keep it at a higher level for the crowd out there. Random number generators are very useful in cryptography. And of which the security of all of your cryptocurrencies in the blockchain is based on cryptography. And so random number generators, if you want to guess a random number between 1 and a gazillion, generally they're not very random. Here's the article here. they're not very random because people introduce biases into how they write code, how they think about numbers. Like if I were to come up with a random number, generally it's gonna be 7. It's my birthday's on the 7th, so I like the number 7. So if someone that's trying to reverse engineer a cryptography or a hash function and knows that 7 is very common, they can eliminate bazillions of other other options, or results, or avenues of attack. And in fact, I think I'm trying to remember it, the U.S. government even interfered in the creation of one of the encryption protocols a while ago. It's easier for them to reverse engineer it, bastards. But anyway, if you can come up with a truly random number generator, then things are more secure because people are unable to reverse engineer things, reverse hash things, and all this type of stuff. And that's a good thing, as they say. It doesn't look like Pedro is going to join us today. He's running late. But anyway, if you have any questions or comments about privacy, drop them on screen here, or drop them in the comments. I'll put them up on screen. Let me do a quick social media check here. Thank you for all of those watching us on Twitch. I like to put it on Twitch because if you have the Twitch app, you can put that in the background on your mobile device and still hear us talk. If you do that on YouTube, you know what happens. They pitch you to buy YouTube Premium, and you don't get it anymore. Let's check our good friend LinkedIn. What's going on over at LinkedIn here? LinkedIn. Thank you to my LinkedIn viewers. I appreciate it. Appreciate it very much. LinkedIn's been very good to us. Very, very good to us. Strangely enough, I get more viewers on LinkedIn now than YouTube. That's when I was talking about at the open of the show that that would be our focus because it's more of a business thing, as they say. And then YouTube, thank you very much. Not a lot of viewers, but we never get a lot of viewers on YouTube in the morning. We do get a lot more viewers on LinkedIn because people are at their desks at work. And they're trying not to work. So they'd rather watch something about crypto. All right, Pedro's officially called off. Anyway, let's quickly go through or recap the show here. We had the great Lisa Loud, who I met at the show. Secret Foundation. She was on a panel discussion about privacy on the blockchain, along with a number of other people. And it was a very well attended one. A lot of it, as you can see, as you can't see behind me. Anyway, during the video, you could see that behind me, a lot of the seats were empty. Some of the speakers just couldn't command a crowd, but the privacy one commanded a quite a large crowd, and I was very happy to see that. Let's see, and as I say, I like to see what's coming up in the week. Tomorrow, Tuesday, we have Patrick Camuso, tax accountant here in the United States, talking about crypto taxes. Let's see if I can pull those up here. Let's see, tomorrow is... As they say, sales tax on NFTs. I bet you did not know how much tax you're not paying. I bet you never knew. You never, ever, ever knew how much tax you are not paying. Have you bought and sold NFTs? That's right. You owe tax on them. Patrick's going to tell you why tomorrow. Tax. And then on Thursday, we've got Adam Kai of the Canadian exchange Virgo CX. So it should be a good time. Should be a very good time. tuning in today across the various platforms. Looks like we had about 55 to 60 viewers, which I appreciate that. Now, I know all of you didn't tune in for the whole time. And a lot of you tuned in looking for Pedro's call on BTC because he's been right lately. Last week he said we got to watch out because BTC is going to tank. There's no support. There's liquidity levels that show that BTC is going down into the low 20s. It's trading up higher. People are like, no, that guy's crazy. Bitcoin's on a run. Everything's good with that. And it turned out he was right. So when people on the technical analysis side call it right, what happens? Yeah, other people want to watch them. Oh, let's see. Media 2. Well, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Tom, otherwise known as Striking here in the digital media world. Once again, another episode of DYOR Live is done. I will see you tomorrow with Patrick Camuso of Camuso CPA talking about, that's right, all the great things you want to learn about taxes. So be there.